Thank you, Joyce. Well, welcome again, everybody. My name is Melissa Bonnin. I'm the grant writer at UHMC College, and I've done several trainings in different formats. So one of my first concepts was to have people write a grant through a period of several weeks and having regular meetings and assignments. Okay, but I would say that a lot of people weren't able to write as they went along because I know people are busy. So then I took that all and I wrapped it up into a 1-day format. I think that's a lot of information in a day. It was pretty fun for me to get through it, but I just don't know how much people can retain in a day and how much time there is to practice. So I've also done several Zoom sessions, smaller bits of information, but still quite a bit. So this time around, my concept is to do a little bit less information, move a little bit slower, but start to do a community practice, meetings that happen regularly to build people's skills and work on your concepts and the things that you're excited about. So we are going to have a time to introduce everybody, but I'm going to give a little bit of information first, and then we're going to go to small group rooms where you have some time to introduce yourself to a small group, and then we'll come back and everybody's going to introduce themselves and with a little bit more information. So that's my plan today. I have some mini lessons. We're going to have some interactive time to work on and learn a little bit more about grant writing and end with some time for questions. So with that, I'm going to start presenting my screen. There we go. Sorry, hold on just a second where I get what I need up. There we go. And you all see the PowerPoint, right? Yes?
Yes, we can see it. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm trying to develop a grant writing community practice. And then today we'll talk a little about what that means and getting started on understanding grant funding. So my vision for this group is to fund initiatives, innovations, and increase student success, because I believe that's what we're all here for. We're here because we're excited about helping students. We want to help our students. We want to help our community, or we have some really exciting ideas that we want to bring into fruition. So this idea, even in the times of funding cuts, even the times where we're struggling to find money, there is money there for grants. And I want to create a collaborative grant writing community to efficiently meet deadlines, draw from expertise, and expand capacity to secure extramural awards. If you've written a grant, and some of us have, sometimes in those final moments, you're up all night for 1 or 2 days working on the grant, and you're like, oh, I wish someone could help me. So I'm hoping that we can find some collaborations where people can help each other in the grant writing, because there's going to be more grants coming down the pipeline soon, and also to draw from each other's expertise, because we all have strengths. Even if you haven't written a grant before, you bring a lot of your knowledge and your ideas and your past experiences. So what does this look like? I'm hoping to have a standing Friday meeting for people to come, some mini lessons with that, but Friday meetings, a group with mixed abilities from no experience to people who are very experienced. So let's share the results of our poll so far. Do you see the results?
Yes, we can see it. Thanks.
Okay. So today we have about half. Half people are brand new to this whole thing, and half have some experience writing grants or helping with ones. So that's good. It's good to know. So the idea is that we can help each other through different ability levels. Again, I'm going to have mini lessons with each Friday, and there's going to be some time to develop your concept and small group feedback. And if you don't have a concept, don't worry. Also to ask and answer compelling grant related questions, especially when you're working on a grant, questions come up, and I think it'd be good for the whole group to learn. And so we can answer some of those big questions you might have. So the outcome of these groups is that I want to build the capacity at UH to secure funding and partner organizations. So a couple things. We have some Title III grants that the goal is to build the capacity of Hawaii CC and UH Maui College for grant writing and secure additional funding. So this is one of the ways that we're trying to do that. And also we work with a lot of partners in the community. So there's times when we might not be eligible for grants, or maybe a partner would be better as the prime applicant, but it still benefits the campus and the community, and we want to partner with them. So we're opening these sessions to those groups of people too. Another outcome is just to build a network of support innovation ideas. I had read something about Google like quite a while back, that they had projects. They assigned a team to a project to start a project, and they start a project, and then they all switch projects. They pass it on to a new team, and they pass it on to a new team. So by this idea of shared refinement and getting in other people's ideas, it gets stronger. So even if you have your own project and you're working on it, by sharing and bouncing your ideas back and forth with other groups of people, you're able to refine your ideas. You might be thinking, oops. You might be thinking, wait, that's not what I signed up for. I might need to leave. I don't know if I'm going to come back. And that's okay. But I just say, hang in there. There's a grant writer inside of you, and I'm sure of it. If you have a passion or idea, we can bring that out. So let me tell you kind of a secret about me. I've never been trained as a grant writer. I'm not a grant writer per se, even though that's my job. I think my heart is with serving students and serving our community, and that's my passion. So I started with a job at Upward Bound as a director of the program, and the first time it came due to write my big, huge grant, there was funding cuts, so they cut the amount per student. Less than half, because we were a really old program, and everybody was stressing on what to do, because if I cut our program less than half, more than half of our staff would have to leave, and I just couldn't figure out how to do it, because Hawaii has a high cost of living, and we have to fly for college tours. And so I was thinking about it, and I thought, well, I think we could write for more students at less schools and serve them efficiently. And I think if we write 2 grants, then we can handle the staff better and serve even more students. And then I was like, well, maybe if we write 3 grants, we can serve even more students and have more, expand our services, because our costs are distributed between 3 programs. And then why don't we write a talent search program, and why do we write Gear Up? So it just expanded and expanded, and that's how I got into grant writing, just following my passions and building programs out. And one of my passions, and one of the things I was excited about, was thinking about innovation. Like, how can I really help the students? What's the best thing that I can give them? And to me, that was the love of learning. So I partnered with a STEM faculty, and we wrote a grant, and we got an NSF grant to really inspire students to learn in STEM. So that was really exciting. And I think that really that we got those grants, and my driving force was the passion I had, that this is things that I really believed in. So if you're here and you're thinking there's things I believe in that I want to try to do and move forward, I have the encouragement you can do that. So we're going to take some time in groups just to talk a little bit with a small group. So I'm just going to break into small groups randomly. What is your ideal project? What is one pressing grant question you have? And then some time to share. We're going to do introductions, and then we're going to, everybody's going to share their idea. So let me stop my sharing. So with that, I'm going to break into groups. I'm excited to hear what everybody talked about. And I just want to say, if you don't necessarily have a concept, don't stress out. Just maybe talk a little bit about what you're passionate about. So one of the things and my ideas for these workshops is to refine your concept so good at a certain point that you can say it in a string of one sentences. So like it's like a proposal made of one sentences, and so that you can expand on that and you would build out a really clear proposal. So anyway, this is just the first start of introductory thoughts and sharing of ideas. So I'd like everybody to introduce themselves. And I'll just let it up to you who goes and so introduce yourself, your position, organization, and then just say a little bit about your concept for, your ideal project or something that you're passionate about in relation to that you'd like to see come through.
Hey, well, I'll go and then I'll tag someone. How's that? Only because I'm right next to Melissa. So in my like clockwise mind, I'm next. Okay. So my name is Ellen. I'm one of the librarians at Maui College. We went from like 600 imprints in our library a day to maybe 3 or 4. So our world has drastically changed. And it's been psychologically very challenging for people who identify with a building in their professional careers. So all of my life, I've been interested in student engagement. So now I'm looking outdoors. How can we help students become engaged as we start to bring them back onto campus? So I joined up with the sustainability committee and have started meeting some really interesting people working on grants. And because the library is always the first place to get cut on campus with the budget, I have written grants before, I've received grants, but it's hugely time-consuming work. And I just don't know how to incorporate it into my dream and fantasy professional life where I see myself as having funds to build the things that I think that our students need. And I'm going to tag Miss Winnie Law, who's right next to me.
Thank you, Ellen. I teach at the Hawaii Community College as an instructor. My focus is hospitality and tourism. I'm hoping to find a grant. I'm looking for granting sources to combine hospitality, tourism, and education, and come up with some sort of mini courses that I can involve the nonprofit organization. I truly believe in working with community, and I wanted to something that that's sustainability related and related to hospitality and tourism, as well as the nonprofit organization, something that I can combine all 3 together. So that's what I'm looking for. Okay, I will tag Laurie Miyataki.
My heart just sighed when I heard my name. So I work for Kapiolani Community College, but I am physically based in Hilo at the Hawaii Community College Manono campus. I work for the EMS department, so I'm the admin here. Normally I have 1 faculty and me, and we train and support all the paramedics and EMTs here on the island. So I've never contemplated writing a grant or even started. So this is very brand new for me. And I kind of wanted a new funding source. As I was saying to my focus group, to run our program is very expensive. The equipment and things that we need to support and maintain the training. Things change so quickly and equipment's so expensive. I was hoping to use some of our downtime when we're not running classes to look for different revenue sources. So that's why I'm here. Thank you. And let's see, how do I scroll? How's about Gary?
I'm Gary Alberts. I teach at the Maui Food Innovation Center. Obviously, I'm Maui. I also consult to MEDB and to USDA. So a lot of places that look for grants or have grants. So that's my purpose for being here. I'll tag Emily.
Hi, I'm Emily Spito. I work with the Instructional Technology Support Office in Hilo at the HCC campus, Hawaii Community College. And I don't really have a project in mind, but I have zero experience with this, and I figured that it would be a good thing to be familiar with. So I'm mostly here to build the skill set and then, yeah, make connections and be available for you guys. I'll tag Velma.
Aloha everyone, I'm Velma Ponlis again with Maui College. I am a program coordinator for a Title III grant here on campus. And I think my draw to this workshop was because for the last 4.5 years or so, I've been on the front end of a grant and whatnot. So I always had that feel like, I wanna know what's the back end or how does this start, right? So I think that is why I'm here right now, because I kind of want to see that full circle of what extramural is to the university or an institution. Let me see. Aloha, Brook.
Thank you, Velma. Aloha, my name is Brook. I am a lecturer at Palama Nui, the community college out in Kona, and I teach Hawaii lifestyles courses. But I guess I have like a passion project, and it's been kind of on my mind for a while. I just never knew how to fund it. But I kind of, I'm really into comic books and Hawaii mythology and just like fantasy fiction writing. And I thought it would be really cool if we took some of our mo'olelo that Hawaiian studies or Hawaii lifestyles professors and lecturers teach at the community college and put it into comic book form, not to replace, of course, the mo'olelo, but to just like kind of revamp it. Because sometimes I feel like students, if they don't see like evolution or progression in mo'olelo or how it applies to their like actual present day, they don't find any value to it. So I thought that would be really cool to do and incorporate it into our academic. But anyway, I think that was all. Thank you. And I will tag Perla.
Aloha mai kākou. I'm Perla Ha'alilio, Student Services Specialist at Hawaii Community College Palama Nui on the Kona side. There's so many things that I want for for our students, for my community, for my church, and I'll find something. But it's really for my community. It's the continuation of being able to feed them, and have been partnering with other organizations, and yeah, there's so many things, and I'm just here to learn, and hopefully this time be able to write a grant from beginning to end, not be in a grant by default and you find out, you get a phone call, you need to sign this by a certain time, and then you read and you're like, I had no input in this, but there's always a purpose, so you have to make it work. So really open to the learning process today. Mahalo. And I'll tag Kala.
Thanks, Perla. Hi, my name is Kala. I'm also with Hawaii Community College. I'm on the Manono campus. I'm in the financial aid office. So part of what I'm interested in with regards to grant writing is maybe finding some funds to help us with financial aid outreach to students. We have a great outreach person in our office, and if I could help to get her some money to do some great fun things out in the community, to get people excited about coming to college, that would be really cool. But I'm brand new to this, so I'm just kind of soaking it all in, and I'm excited to learn. And I will tag Wayne.
Aloha kākou, Wayne Wong. I am the Center Director on Maui for the Hawaii Business Small Business Development Center. We're a technical assistance center for small businesses. Even though not our target audience, we also deal with a lot of nonprofits as well. And as you can imagine, for all small organizations, everybody's looking for funding. And so from a business perspective, there's lending, so you can get a loan. There's investors for people that want to sell part of their company. But grants turns out to be another option out there as well. So I get a lot of requests to participate in, more than I can sort of deal with. And so I'm totally buying into what Melissa's talking about in terms of creating a resource community. And so, I can provide some mana'o in certain areas. And then if I have clients that need help, it would be nice to look at more than the limited number of grant writers that seem to be available right now. So that's sort of why I'm here. Kalihua, I don't think you've gone yet.
Thanks, Wayne. Aloha, everyone. My name is Kalihua. I work at Co-Education Center, which is for Maui peeps, very similar to the Hana or Molokai Education Center. So we're not quite as cool as a branch campus. We're considered a division of Hawaii Community College. I am a de facto advisor, student success, anything related to students falls under my realm. And I had shared with Wayne and Laurie that we are large, we have a lot of activity on our campus, although we don't have any, like students aren't a Manono, a Ko, or a Palamanui student. They're either a Hilo or a Kona student. So a lot of our activity is extramural funded. We have some great projects that we're pilot funding from Hawaii Community Foundation and Kamehameha Schools. So we have a proof of concept, but we need to take that because we're on year 3 and 4 of these projects. And so one of the things I'm really interested in helping our director find some longevity for is we have a pre-internship program where we take high school students and we share professional skills with them so that they can be ready for more robust and independent internships where we're matching them in our communities as well. They get paid for that internship with us. So we're looking to continue that program. And then I'm also very interested in expanding a student bridge, a summer bridge program for our area students that focuses on college readiness. So there's funding available for dual credit, obviously, but there's not a lot out there that looks at what people traditionally think that K-12 should be doing. So it's kind of an interesting straddle to be delving into college readiness activities, but from a post-secondary side. And so I have a little bit of experience. I've been like helping Kaylin with the data needs and the data dives of proving the need and so forth like that. But I've had some great mentors. I used to work at Community Windward with Louie and Judy. So I kind of feel like they showed us the world of possibilities with grants. And I think it's time that I take on that kuleana and step up into the real adult world of grant writing. So thanks, Melissa, for putting this all together. I'm going to tag Kulia.
Hi, good morning, everybody. It's so nice to see so many of my counterparts. I'm also from Hawaii Community College in Hilo. I just switched over to working for our interim CTE dean. And so the purpose and the reason why I'm here is because I noticed I've been working for the staff side for so long, and now working with faculty and learning more about what I guess the CTE deans do involves heavy grant writing. I believe Jessica's working on one right now, and faculty come to me with a lot of questions, and I'm here to kind of know more about the entire process and how it works, and so that I can also be more of a resource for faculty, for Jessica. And then because we lost our grant writer in the business office, Cheryl, she was such an asset to me, and she's a really good friend. I know that we just have some pukas, and so maybe me being here and learning some things, then I can go ahead and help our kohale. So that's why I'm here. I would like to tag Emily.
I've already gone, but we can ask Jessica Puzzles.
Hi, sorry, I have my camera off. My internet is not cooperating today. I'm Jessica Pazos, and I don't work for the college.
Join the meeting.
But, K2 DuPont invited me. We often share clients, so I do community resource navigation for families. For anyone right now. So I work for a project called Islands of Hope, and we had a kiosk in the mall, but COVID kind of closed that down. So really, I hope to be a link between families and child welfare service to be that sort of preventative measures. So there's lots of really great grants out right now for community systems building. And so I'm just here to see what other folks are doing and see what we can collaborate on, since it seems like lots of great projects happen and then 5 other people will be working on them. So maybe to just sort of streamline that and see what's out there and see what you guys are doing. I haven't written grants, but I finished my MSW about 6 months ago. So I guess I just miss writing papers and feeling like I need a deadline and all that stuff. So thank you. Sorry, cheese. I'm always the one who forgets to tag. Let's go with, sorry, I'm home. Stuart, are you available?
Yes. Well, hi, everyone. And my name is Stuart Zinner, and I've worked at the college for a number of years, but mostly retired. But I realized I wasn't completely retired because I've always stayed active on the sustainability committee. So I've been on the Maui College Sustainability Committee for since it was started, actually, which was probably about 10 years ago. And I work primarily and have worked on energy projects on the campus. And probably for the last 10 years, I've been funded by extramural funds. And I started as a lecturer teaching math and computer classes, but mostly for the last part of my tenure at the college, it was working on energy projects, primarily the solar and electrification and transportation. So that's what I'm interested in now, is electrifying buses. And we've got a project that we're well into, deadline approaching very quickly. And it involves a pilot project with putting an electric bus on the campus and seeing how that works. So that's what we're up to. And I will tag Chad.
I'm a lecturer at Maui College, physics, some math as well. I write grants for physics research, as well as physics education. And so right now I'm working on a project and grants for physics education in kindergartens. And I need to see if I can find someone that I don't think has talked. Elf Fatir, sorry, it keeps, yeah, you know who you are.
Thank you. My name is Laurie Fatera. I work at Hui no Ke'olopono on Maui. I am the fund developer. So I have written some grants, and mostly program grants. So we are working on Native Hawaiian practices programs. And so that's the grants that I am working on currently, and developing these programs as well. And I'm just here to learn more. And I think Kim more.
Let's try Sherry. Share.
Kim has a message in the chat. She says her microphone's not working.
Thank you. Kim says, hi, everyone. And she's currently at Career Link on Maui and has been working in various grants for the past 7 years and to gain knowledge and insights about different opportunities out there. And then let's on share.
Yeah, hi. Aloha kako. My name is Sherry. I've been trying to change my name on this Zoom, but I'm on my iPad, so it's not allowing me to do that. I'm from the Hawaii Island in Hilo, and I'm a participant of HCAN as a parent leader in their Parent Leadership Training Institute. So we are, we have projects, community projects that we're working on. And mine is specific to a family visitation center here on Hawaii Island. We currently have one. And so I am very new to granting and hope to just use this opportunity to learn as much as I can. So thank you for allowing me to be here.
And
I tag, I think, Velma, did you go yet?
Yeah, Nasi.
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay. Do you know who else needs to go?
Nasi. And Nasi, I know you came in late. We're introducing ourselves a little after we started about who we are, our positions, and the concept we have for our grant.
Sorry, Melissa, my mic went out for like 2 seconds. But I think I'm introducing myself. I'm Nasi, Jamie Nasi Davis. Everybody calls me Nasi. I currently work for UH Maui College on I like to say a small project, but I'm really downsizing it. I work for a project Melissa wrote for. It's called Project Stimulate. We're using problem-based learning as an approach to inspire students, particularly Native Hawaiian students in STEM. We work with upper bound programs. And I'm hoping that we can expand the project. We have some really good foundational I guess, research and approaches that we've used over the past 3 years. And so I'm hoping to find grants to help us build out the rest of the components. I work for Maui, but I live on Oahu. So I think that covers it.
Joyce, did you want to introduce yourself and talk?
Sure. I'm Joyce Yamada. I'm the Professional Development Coordinator here at Maui College. I don't have anything in mind, but I'm always looking for something. I've written and been awarded maybe 10 or so grants over the years. So I'm just here to learn as well as to help Melissa with some of the logistics.
And I think that we got everybody. Is there anybody that we missed? Okay, I'm pretty sure we have everybody. So thank you for sharing. I know it takes a long time to share that, but that gives me a good understanding what everybody is interested in. And moving forward, when we do small groups, I'll try to more or less group people to some of their interest areas. And sometimes it'll be random, just so that we can bounce different ideas. Like I said before, with the concept of Google, taking a project team, giving them a project, and then moving it to a different project. They're a different team, completely new team just to refine ideas. We can refine each other's ideas by talking through them. So, and just putting it into words, I think helps. So, I mean, the one assignment I give you for next time is to keep thinking about your passion and your concept, that you can clearly explain something in about a sentence about what you would like to do if you could have an ideal project. So just start thinking about that. If there really isn't a project, it's okay. But start thinking about your passions and like what you're most concerned about would be a starting point. So thank you for that. We're going to continue with our mini lessons for today. And so let me share my screen again. Our first mini lesson is about what really is a grant, types of projects, and types of funding. Why do I talk about what is a grant? That's because I think a lot of times that people come to me with what they want. And I think really what they want is a gift. We all want gifts. We love gifts, right? So gifts are a gift of money with no strings or few strings attached. A donor gives, or a donor expects little in exchange for giving this gift of money. There's no detailed scope or line item budget or timeline. And there's very little accountability given for the money. But a grant, on the other hand, has terms and conditions. Generally, there's a predetermined activity or purpose. And if you think about it, and this will help you in writing and approaching your writing, your sponsor, the person who's funding your project, is buying the proposed outcomes. So always there's some kind of objective or research question. There's something that you're going to accomplish because of your grant. So when you think about that and you highlight your grant, it tells a story of need, what you'll do, and what will be changed. And so really your sponsor is buying what will be changed. So you want to sell the need to them that, oh my gosh, we do have to do something about that, and make a clear pathway to what you're going to do to an outcome that's going to be accomplished. So if we look at, I'm trying to look at one of the ideas that were given. Continue to feed my community. So perhaps the need right now is that unemployment's at, I'm making up a random number, at 30% or 40%, an all-time high because of the COVID pandemic and our community's dependence on tourism. There's a lot of families, or X% of families report on a survey that they're worried about, they're having food insecurity, their next meal. Therefore, we're going to do these activities to build out our outreach and the food pantries and delivery to these families, maybe working with local farmers who are having a hard time selling their produce, and we're going to feed our community. So they're buying this idea objectives. So grants generally also have a detailed scope, activities, a line on budget, and a timeline. And they generally have something that you report at the end and require evaluation. So at the end of a grant, you're not just done. You generally have to give a report and say, we fed X amount of families, or whatever it might be that you're trying to achieve in your grant. So examples of different projects that we do with grants, there's research and development type of grants. So you have a research question, or you're trying to develop a new innovation. There's curriculum development types of grants, educational programming and capacity building, we talked a little bit about. Pilot, demo, seed projects to get something started. Training grants, so some of our educational grants, like our TRIO programs and Gear Up, are training grants. There's grants for fellowships and scholarships and dissertations and conferences and travel. Equipment and materials is kind of tricky. What is the definition of equipment? Does anyone know it off the top of their head?
Over $5,000.
Yes. For $5,000 for one piece of equipment. So a lot of times when people come to me and say, I want equipment, I want to get all new computers for our lab. Well, that's not equipment. That is a technology supply. And generally grants aren't for that. So if you want a grant to do like computers and computer labs, you're gonna have to find some kind of research question or programming that goes with that. The other thing about equipment, a lot of times for us, they're a little bit harder to get because some of the equipment grants that I've seen through like NSF or USDA tend to be like multi-use research facility, which works for some of our like our food innovation centers, but might not work for like our STEM programs. And then there's construction. Sometimes there's construction grants and matching. So matching, I just want to talk about that. There's matching and cost share. So when you see that, you have to be careful. If you, that means that the grant, the funding agency is expecting that you or your institution or organization, which tends to be for most of us at the UH system, our campus food is going to front part of the money for the project. So, so we always have to watch for that. There's ways to overcome it, but we'll talk about another, but just be aware that there's cost share out there. So the next thing we're going to talk about is types of grant funding and the sources that they come from. So I'm going to stop sharing this. And we're going to do something kind of a fun, interactive thing called a Jamboard. Nasi's going to laugh, but I have a link for you. So if you can go to that link, I'm going to share it as well. This is something called a Jamboard, and I just learned about this yesterday with Nasi. But I want to do a little bit of a brainstorming about different funders. So how the Jamboard.
Melissa, sorry, we don't see I don't see the Jamboard. Does anyone else see?
Oh, it says my sharing has paused. Why is it paused?
Wait.
Try again.
You are sharing, but it's not showing.
I see it.
And share it again.
Oh, so weird. Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Okay, I don't know why it says that why it paused. That was kind of weird. But so this is called a Jamboard, and you can create a sticky note right here, and you can make it any color you would like to make it, and you can put on a type of funding source. So I'm gonna put like USDA, and then you can stick it where you think it goes. So USDA is a federal source, so put it here. If you don't know, just put it in the middle and I'll start moving them around. So that we have a different ideas about different funding sources.
Sorry, Melissa, but can you show how to start the sticky note one more time?
Of course. So I'm new to this all, but watch, you can do this. I can circle. Oh no, I can only write circle here, sorry. You can click here. So on the left side, there's a little thing here. It's a sticky note. And you just click on that, and then you can click your colors and type in your text, and then just save it. I might be putting some in the wrong. Can someone type in National Endowment for the Humanities? And maybe like HMSA or Kaiser. Let's see what else. There we go. There's something else I was thinking. Thanks, financial institutions. Yeah, definitely. There's H2DC from the state. And HSDC, so this is the Hawaiian Technology Development Corporation, Hawaii Strategic Development Corporation, County Community Med Schools, I think we got. Okay, so we have a lot there. I think we're good. I can't fit them all always in their spots, but okay. So we have really good ideas and a lot of them. So thank you for participating in this to think about. Let's see, to think about these different funding sources. When we think about them, we think about federal grants. Federal grants are generally very structured and they're very, they tend to be larger projects. They take a lot of work. They might not be, if you've never written a grant before, they might not be an easy starting place. They're a possible starting place, but they're not an easy one. Maui County grants are good ones to have. They're generally smaller and they're less competitive and they don't require as much. There's also state grants. Oh wait, let me use my pointer. This is fun. There's state grants. So there's like OHA, the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. There's DLIR. Hawaii Tourism Authority is a good one. You know, I don't know many people who have gone for the Hawaii Tourism Authority, but Winnie, when you were talking, I'm thinking, oh, they have grants that are perfect for what you're talking about. Department of Health is federal and state, so there's some departments that are both, right, that are on the state level and federal level that have funding, and then we have all these others, right? So those can be more competitive, like the Gates Foundation, or they can be less competitive, like some of our local Kamehameha schools. The Hawaii Community Foundation, I don't know if that's on there. There's Hawaii Community Foundation, UH Foundations, HMSA, Kaiser, can be ones that are more approachable. So county and other can be a really good starting point, and then state grants can be another good starting point that are less competitive and ones that we can more easily pursue. And like I said, federal grants aren't out of reach, but they require a little bit more, and they can be a lot of work. So I'm going to stop sharing that screen, and then I'm going to thank you for sharing a link of different funding opportunities. I also have for you, I'm going to start a database for, and this is just a start, but I'm going to start a database for grant writing and a folder for us to share with resources as we go along. So here's another resource just getting started and where to start looking. That's for you to download, and I'm also going to download the funding opportunities that Kalihua shared. So thank you for that. Let me share the rest of my PowerPoint. Okay, so types of funding, you guys did awesome in identifying different types. So we know they're out there, right? And that's the start of looking for funding, watching for funding. So getting your concept together, looking for funding. My hope is that through the next couple of sessions, I can help everybody develop to be an expert funding searcher and watcher. We need more eyes watching the funding sources because there's so many different ones and things come up and sometimes we miss them, right? So ways that we can share with the group and share with our campuses what the funding opportunities that are out there. We used to have this wonderful search engine called Pivot that's paid for through the UH system, but they discontinued it. But it's wonderful because I could put my, I want notification when these grants come up or thinking about coming up, and it would email me that. And I could put search engines for search criteria and it would email me that, but they discontinued it. So my solution to that is to have many eyes looking. And so that's one hope that I hope to get over the next few sessions of grants, that we have many eyes looking so we don't miss things and we can send them to ourselves amongst each other and to our campus. So the last thing I have is question and answer time. For any pressing questions of the day, I think the one that I heard kind of repeating is, how do I get started writing a grant? I'm here to learn how to get started, what do I do? And then any other questions. So I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm going to throw that question out there to the group. Because we have a mixed group of experiences. And I have some thoughts too, but I'm kind of curious what you all think. There's no right or wrong answer. But how do you get started on a grant? Where do you start? What are your ideas?
Melissa, wouldn't you first have to check, at least from a federal level, to see if the grant topic or area that you're interested in exists?
Yeah, so finding a funding source can be a really good starting point. So I'm kind of under the opinion that most things can be funded. Probably not everything, but most things you can find a perspective. But I think for a program, Kalihua joined us a little bit later. She missed the introductions, but she runs a large federal program, Gear Up. So it makes a lot of sense to check, like, okay, if I want to write another Gear Up, I need to know if that's going to be out or coming out. And there's grants that might work perfectly for what you are thinking about. So you want to watch them to see when they're coming out. Some have patterns of coming out every year. Some come out every 3 years. Some come out every 2 years. Some come out every 5 years. So you have to watch and understand the pattern. And I will show you how to do that when we talk about federal grants, because those are the ones that have the generally like sometimes a 3-year or 5-year sequences. What else might you do if you're thinking about to get started?
You need to have a good idea first for the project.
Yeah, so really refining your idea and having a concept. So that's where we kind of started today, thinking through your concept. But I'm a huge advocate for getting a concept paper, like a 1-page concept paper down. And like I said, I was thinking about doing these mini 1-sentence, like a whole proposal with a string of sentences. I think that really could refine your project. I think it's a fun thing and a good place to start. Jessica wrote in partners. So having partners and stakeholders, that's really true. A lot of grants have require partnerships and commitments, and maybe that might give you a team of people who are going to help write the grant and think through the project concept. Other thoughts on getting started writing a grant?
Would we also want to consider, when creating a grant, the status of the stakeholders? Like, should this be a nonprofit? Should this be a business? Should it be attached to an education arm or a resource arm? What is the core of of how it's going to be established? Like a 501, yeah, just like that, like having a 501c, isn't that something that is a starting point? A lot of funding feeds through organizations that are nonprofits like MEO and family services, that kind of thing. I'm not trying to profile, I'm just saying that I noticed that to be among the common denominators.
So you're kind of saying that making sure that you're eligible. So if you have a concept that might not be through your work, perhaps you need to establish yourself at the right status, like not if it needs to be nonprofit. And I mean, that's really true. I mean, sometimes there's, you don't, depends. I mean, there's eligibility requirements for different grants, right? Some grants, higher institution of higher education work, sometimes it has to be a nonprofit. Sometimes it could be both or either. It can be, I mean, each one is different for what they're looking for. So just knowing what the type of grant, yeah, if like the small business grants, that you need to have that the right designation for the grant that you're seeking. And sometimes partners can help with that. So, I mean, we at Maui College sometimes partners with other institutions. Like we're not a nonprofit or a community-based organization. That's another eligibility that sometimes we'll see. But sometimes we have partners who can apply for the grant that we have common goals with, and then we can partner together on a project and help write it. Or vice versa, our partner might want to apply for something that's for higher education, and we can kind of help partner because we have different strengths that we bring to the team. So that makes sense. And like establishing your team of partners, it's good to have that. And then that you call on them too when you have a short turnaround and you're like, oh, can you give me this commitment letter like in 3 days? You know, so it's nice to have partners that are on your team. I mean, hopefully it's longer than that, but what else would you do if you're thinking about getting started working on a grant? So we have your concept. So you want to have an idea, a source for funding. So that's one avenue. You want to have your funder. So you want to think about and know how to search for funding. There's partners and stakeholders. So you kind of want to have your team together and start developing those relationships. That's another thing. What if you have your concept and you have your funding source and you're looking at it? How might you also get started? How do you actually start the writing? Any thoughts about that?
Maybe an outline or lining it up. If you've already found a grant, lining it up with their outlined proposals.
Yeah, figuring out outline. I like to do my outline first, and I'd like to fill it out. I'd like to arrange it by the scoring criteria. And we'll have trainings on this, but I just kind of heard that. Like my outline generally is how they're scoring it, unless they tell us you have to have an outline like this. But I think that's a really good idea. You know, they speak to the scoring criteria.
I'd say meeting with stakeholders and having informal discussions.
Yeah, definitely. So having your team help refine the idea and your concept and making sure they're on board for their pieces that they might carry through if you need multiple partners. Very true. How do you know, like say the grant is for $100,000. How do you know that you can do enough? Or how do you know how many people you can serve?
You'd have to have a financial partner or stakeholder that can help to do like an estimated budget for the things that you'd need, especially if it's going to involve a facility. You'd have to have someone that is akamai in that area that can integrate the cost factor, whether it's electricity or not, or that's being cost shared because you're partnering with another community entity, so that's taken care of. But you might be able to use that information as part of the grant, you know, writing somewhere in there. But you've got to have some sort of budget of if you want to serve 100 people and to serve them the way you want, you need to have $800 per head to do it, then that already gives you the biggest bulk of what you need.
Yeah, so it's good to start with I mean, there's different ways. Everybody starts in different places, but it kind of is a good idea to have a perspective of what you can do with that money. Because I think we're all like to be generally over ambitious until we actually start putting the numbers on the page. So that's another important piece. And there's no right or wrong exact place to start, but these are just some things that we can start thinking about moving towards. So I think like the idea of the concept, the funding, and the partners are really good places. And then if you are, some of us are sitting there looking at start getting started, because I heard that that was a place where some people were at, you know, the outlining of the concept. You have your concept if you're already looking at applying for something, but looking at the evaluation criteria to make your outline, unless the outline's already provided. Look at your budget to know what you can do. There's some things in the comments about data and data research. So that's a really good starting place too. If you have a concept, to do some kind of needs analysis or look for research supporting your idea. So a lot of times we have ideas like, Chad, I'm going to pick on you because I can think of this easy. We might have an idea like, okay, we think that our students aren't going into STEM. We think that our students might not be enrolling into college. We think that our students might not be doing well in upper level STEM classes or even taking them in high school. And we think that teachers are unprepared in kindergarten. So we want to find research behind that and to say like, okay, about 50% of our kids are going on to college and only 6% of high school students are taking calculus or 10% are taking physics. So we want the data behind that and to show this need. So we want to do a needs analysis to make sure what we're thinking is a problem really is a problem. So that's another nice starting point. So are there other general questions? I see in the comment, Brooke asked, so if it's for building curriculum for a UH class, could you get it on your own? It depends on the funding source. I think generally tends to, most grants require you to be part of something. Most grants, there's very few, but I've seen some, but there's very few that an individual can apply to. Usually you have to meet their eligibility requirements. So every single one is different. But I think if you're building curriculum for a UH class, you more or less probably would need to be associated with the institution. So are there other questions anyone wants to ask?
I have a burning question. It's Perla. So a grant is written and you try your hardest to meet the objectives in that time frame. Okay. An example, we have a project coordinator position that hasn't been filled yet. We're in the second year of the grant, but requested for an extension due to COVID. In the meantime, others have had to pick up the slack on, making sure this grant we were still meeting objectives. Is there a way after the fact that those that are picking up the slack can be compensated? Have you heard, or am I making sense?
So your question is that there's a position, let me just make sure I'm hearing this right. There's a position in your grant, that position for one reason or another wasn't able to be filled. So there's other people meeting the outcomes, objectives, and can you pay for them even though they're different than the original position? I'm gonna throw this out to the group. Has anybody had experience with this?
It seems to be ongoing with the grants I've been part of or have known of, because we're the ones who are picking up the slack in the meantime until this position is filled, which, I mean, hey, we need to, be faithful and accountable, so.
It depends on how you're being paid already. If you're a full-time employee, no, But say, for example, you are a 9-month faculty, then yeah, you could probably transfer some of it to say pay for a month of salary during the summer. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I kind of thought, and it's pretty much all of us are full-time already, so you know we just do the work because it's important, and you know we want to be accountable to the grant also. Just a burning question.
Anake, this is Leo Bison, and I feel for you not having a full staff because I just made 3 years with my grant, and for the first time I have a full staff. But one of the ways that we made it through was because exactly what Dr. Chad said, we couldn't be compensated for the fact that you and I are probably kind of people that work from 6 in the morning until 12 midnight the next day, which is something that, you know, isn't common as it was before. But the way I've gotten around that is I have been able to apply for temporary hire for a specific purpose. And maybe that would be a way to help you, because if the grant does have money in the budget under labor that you can navigate differently for this time period, that may be the way to keep, not only to get the job done, but to help keep the morale in place of the whole staff. So for example, I've had everything from a student help to right now I'm hiring someone for a temporary to help me with data management, because I cannot input, I don't have the hands to input 847 kids. So if you have that opportunity with your grant and you're connected with a resource that can be done, I have found that to be helpful at least twice in my grant to get me through.
Mahalo. We've actually moved forward on that and did a casual hire so that position can be filled. But for myself, I'm happy because I finally got my 2 peer mentors hired. They're approved and they can start work as of yesterday. So one of my checklist, because I want to be responsible. Thank you.
The other thing is, if it's not confidential, is I have what I call in the grant kokuas, but the grant would call them as cost share resources, where there are people that are more akamai than I that are either semi-retired or they just have time on their hands and they come in and they contribute to the grant in a very significant way. And they help me get through things like distribution, things like reading over stuff. I mean, just stuff that I don't have another human being to help with. And that feeds into my grant because cost share is a huge part of Gear Up. So that's another way, someone that is able, talented, and expert in a certain area, but would do this for, I don't know the right words, Melissa would know, but for free in that sense, but we're able to record and have a cost share record of that service being provided.
Thank you, Lehua and Chad, for your input. Also, okay, so it's tricky, the thing about being compensated if you're 100% time. There's rules about mixing federal funding and G funding while you're working. For any federal project, you cannot be over 100% time. So if you're 100% time between your combined times, then it can't be done. But unless you have permission from program officers, so that's another thing you could, depend. Sometimes it may or may not be wise to contact your program officer. If you're really struggling to meet your outcomes, it might be really good to start having conversations with them about it. But also, you can get permission sometimes to pay someone over 100% time. More recently, UH and RSUH have been kind of just starting a policy. I don't know if anyone's been able to get around it, but more of a policy like if it's a mix of federal and general time, we absolutely won't do over 100%. No matter what. So we've been trying sometimes to get around it. We've got around in the past. I can't tell you the circumstances for sure. It's like case by case. So sometimes we have been, but in general, I think they've been more strict on it in the last couple of years, a year. So. Okay. Well, I really appreciate everybody's time today. I'm going to follow up with a link to Grant Writers Drive that I'm going to build. There isn't much there right now, but as we go through these meetings on Fridays, I'll keep putting resources there. And also, I'm going to have fill out an Excel file, if you don't mind typing in your name, your position, like areas of interest for grant writing. You could even put your phone number if you want, optional, but the ways that people can connect with each other. So I'm going to have that in that folder, and that folder is going to be generally open to anybody who comes to these workshops. But that's a way that you can start partnering and looking for partners and support and help. But also, I'll have a place to ask questions so that I can start gating people's questions and we can start addressing them in these sessions. So thank you, everybody. Hopefully, I'll see you next Friday, 9:30. I'm just going to keep trying to have a standing time, and we'll just see how it goes. So thank you.
Thank you, Melissa.